flex. You know, for sure. Flex. You know, for sure. It's the party man. Flex. Every time I close my eyes, flex. I look at the goddamn sky. I can't get it out my mind. Flex. I get lost every goddamn time. I was on the goddamn plane. Flex. Flying everywhere in space. I don't give a damn about nothing now. The freaking moon is low. Tonight, I miss a full moon. I need your body. Tonight, I miss a full moon. Tonight, I miss a full moon. Just take a good look at the moon today. And be very careful cause the moons will change. Make sure you can swim in a ruthless wave. Getting lost in the current, you'll lose your brain. You will lose the phase, girl, it's highly intense. I'm an Aries and I'm ruled by Mars, and you know I'm popping with this. That sexual energy high, you know it's time to get lit. Going so deep, make you cry. I'm only inspired with this shit. It's my little twist. We acting like slithering snakes. Hoping all my life force don't slither away. Trying to take you out, girl. Looking like dinner in the day. I'm shake that. Okay. What's up? Hold up. Shut up. Tonight, it's a full moon. Tonight, it's a full moon.
Smiley. Look at Smiley. The birthday say. Oh, I'm saying the birthday. Now, what we gonna talk about right now? First of all, we're gonna hop in a spaceship. And we're gonna go to the esoteric world. Yo, monkey, was supposed to been at. You know what I'm saying? You were supposed to have been there. You were supposed to have been relaxing, understanding the circumstance, the foundation, how to fly there. And anytime you spend too much time away from that esoteric planet fitness, you know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about no actual satellite, no planet, or whatever. But in the spiritual world, we create spheres of realities in these numinal space pockets, honey space zones. We fill it up with the honey. Don't get lost into no honey traps. But for the most part, you can get trapped in that honey that you fulfilled. It play out into the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension as an ego. You want everybody to feel where you coming from. I might not like your field of reality. I'm in a different space. Sheep. You know what I'm saying? Characteristic. Flying, zipping through the esoteric realms of reality. Get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? See, you see, I ain't used the T, YouTube. I said P. You didn't gonna make that song with Future and Young Thug and stuff like that. The power of the P. You know what I'm saying? The ship. The ship. A lot of y'all came on the back of the boat, John Smith on the front and stuff like that. Oh, I'm saying. Oh, man. Some of y'all live in Virginia right now. You don't know if it's the Midwest, East Coast, the South. You don't know what it is. Just know it was part of something I ran in the Northwest Territory. Other than that, we're going to talk about the knowledge so you can understand how to float around over here on this soil that y'all currently call it Americana. Get your tea steam game up. It ain't to get the ice today. They got the steam, they got the ice. So for the most part, what everybody need to know, you need to know there's an esoteric public restroom. And when it plays out into the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension, it play out in many different pockets, all the way to you sitting on the toilet in the morning. It's all the way to you having a release in a physical way and think that energy ain't come from an essence. Remember, everything has a 3-pocket system, but we have a masculine, feminine, and then that coming together to make a communion. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, physical, death. 4, 5, 6, mental, life. 7, 8, 9, goddamn birth. So the spirit expands and create birth. Masculine 7, feminine 8, 9th dimension in the middle. I see what I can emanate. I can expand, masculine 7th dimension, call it a direction, but I'm just getting bigger. I can contract inside of that. Understand and resonate my emotional space in this area. 8th dimension. What am I? I'm the observer. The no thing, the spirit, the one of a kind that I need to be making. Now, boom, you creating the essence, expanding, contracting, where something can go, where something is at. 7th dimension, 8th dimension. Distance, brightness, expansion, yang, lit. You created the external energy. Then you get internal, condensing, contraction, dimness. You ain't lit. You might be in darkness. You might be in all that collection that's a combobulation or whatever the case that you just expanded and lost in one or the other, or put them all together for one goal, and now you lost in your own imagination, aka you're lost in something, whether it's your mind that manifested, you're locked up. Whether that's a marriage. A lot of y'all marriage look like that. You thought I was talking about jail. I ain't talking about jail all the time. I'm from the hood, bitch. Get your tea steam game up. What do that release? Toxins. You know what I'm saying? Whole big game of releasing. I'ma separate you from just getting lost into the fleshly fluid of it. A lot of y'all, a lot of times that don't be it. That don't be the end all and be all. Y'all be in situations where you be needing healthy mental releasing. A lot of y'all haven't been in that space long enough to fulfill that pocket. So when you get placed there, you forgot that it's supposed to have creativity there. Not all the things that you did unintelligently with your creative mind, thinking about things you ain't supposed to think about. And now you put that in your space, and now you have to deal with that. So for the most part, that resonated into frustration. That resonated into, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or whatever the case may be. And you brought too much baggage elsewhere into your space without nothing from your own baggage being there. So now you feel like, oh, I got to take care of myself now. It's just planned out that way. It's planned out through your throat chakra for you to say that. It's planned out in your circumstances for you to realize you done gave too much of yourself to outside references. So for the most part in the internal world, it play out in reverse. The things you're doing externally actually is predicated on what you're doing from the essence world. So when you give birth to something, 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, it condenses into the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. Your mind. The 4th dimension, which you expanded. The 5th dimension, which you emotionally reacted to. The 6th dimension, that character itself. That caricature. But it's the character. Don't get lost in caricature. Means something off. It ain't your character, it's something you're mimicking that might be more suitable for something that's represent your monetary gain. You just can't get there yourself. Or it could be a lot of different layers of falsicities and things of that nature. But for the most part, that's the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. And then it bends into the anatomy, or 1, 2, and 3rd dimension, that adrenaline. And then that's the death. So you got birth, 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, left, life, 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension. You can call it left. Then you got to the right, death, 1, 2, and 3rd dimension. You living in it. So you give your death, your body, 1 dimension, masculine, 2 dimension, being relatable with your individuality, 3rd dimension, us having to surround and being able to participate with our 1 and 2 dimension. You see what I'm saying? For the most part, that's your physical. And then you have your mental. That's the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, where it's going. 4th dimension, 5th dimension, which you reacted to. 6th dimension, that character. And then you have the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension. You making those essences of expansion and condensing, and you having that awareness because you created that. So that's the fruit you bring it down to this realm of reality. Now, so we got birth, life, death. So you give life to death. When you think and feel with that character, 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, think, feel, that character, for the most part, that bends in and become this death being able to move, you being able to walk this cross around, this star around, because it's the sun, moon, and the stars. You ain't gonna never look in the sky and see a satellite with that. So you only know, bow, bow, bow. You only know they talking about when you spread your arms and your legs out in your head, and those are the nations, the stars. That's what it's talking about. It's the only thing it's drawing. It ain't drawing nothing else unless you pseudo and you want to talk about NASA and constellations and stuff like you lost in satellites. You don't understand what's really going on. So, you know what I'm saying? You lost in a bias or a dichotomy. So you gotta understand things as is, like a used car lot. We get ready to be 12 minutes in. We get ready to go into spaceship. We're going to go deep because we got to talk about the healthy release system. But I just like to get people's minds in the perspective of, as a disclaimer, so you can understand we ain't getting into nothing pseudo. So I break down all the physical representations first, all the way to the point you have to flush out whatever you have put up in your body. So once you release, you feel more relieved. When you she and he, you know what I'm saying? For the most part. So that's just the physical representations of it. Your spirit eat mentality, right? Because the spirit create mind, so you could be eating yours and others and things of that nature. Then that bends in as you want to flush out, as you creating adrenaline, and then that bends in as you want to flush out as taking actions. Then that bends in as what you need from the external world to play out that deplenish energy. You know what I'm saying? So once you create, deplenish. Once you consume, replenish. So you got deplenish, replenish, deplenish, replenish, deplenish, replenish. And if you're on that type of cycle, this helps you understand how the body moves. So it ain't about what you're eating. Oh, this is the way the light hitting it. It ain't about what you eating or whatever the case may be. It's about how you're eating. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of y'all may sometimes eat at the wrong time. Sometimes y'all think about the wrong things. Sometimes y'all take action towards the wrong people, places, and things, and circumstances and situations. And a lot of times you carry all that baggage with you spiritually, mentally, and physically without having a healthy release system. And then therefore that start to play out as toxicity. It's like holding on to a liquid that you're making internally, but we're using physical results. You could place like a cup of water or any type of fluid or whatever the case may be in one area for a particular long time. You start to see it start to attract and develop certain bacteria and other parasites and stuff like that. So for the most part, that's what we are considering what's toxic. Too much things that don't represent one area, developing things from other areas and stuff like that, all the way to the point it can start to manifest as invasive species qualities once it start attracting too much foreign other things to it, by it being so, and things being around needing necessity of something to feed off, all the way to things within the air particles and stuff. So once something stick on something, it plays out that accumulation energy in a wrong way because it ain't no fluid energy. The only thing in the universe is constant but change. So when you got some stable energy, but yet change still have to be there, the change is going to be transmuted to be negative. There may be toxic changes or whatever. So that water is no more pure that you left there. It's now nasty, other than being pure and left to be like in a river and flow or whatever the case may be, is being stuck. Yet change still exists, but that form of change is being played out on the negative end because water likes to flow. So when water is stale, change still happens, you're transmuting it on the negative side. So it'd be a toxic change, it'd be a mildew change or whatever the case may be. So for the most part, that's just to help y'all understand it from a physical representation of how your spirit be observing your mentality and how you could be in so many cloudy thoughts that you got this thought from over here, this thought from over there, and you put it in your kitchen table spiritual space or whatever the case may be, and you let it sit there and you don't do nothing but physically ponder over these things. So in the spiritual world, it start to accumulate as the same thing how it play out in the physical. Toxicity, because those are the internal holy waters or whatever. So now you're holding on to internal holy water toxicity or whatever the case may be, because you're not letting something go, letting something flow or whatever, or not going with the flow. You're trying to construct something, hold on to something, and the first things that we're making is fluids. So this is going to take us into all of this. So that's the disclaimer. So let's get right into the guy. Hey, is you ready into the matrix? Morpheus didn't know what he was talking about. The chick Sophia Stewart don't know what she was talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about life. I ain't capitalizing. I ain't colonizing your brain. I ain't teaching you nothing. I'm only reminding you what you already know. And that's cold. Ain't no colder game than that. Because ain't no bias in it. Ain't no racism in it. Nothing. It's something we can all sit back and just understand. You know, overstand, inner stand, outer stand. As long as you can stand on something and don't be falling in a holy abyss, we good to go. You know what I'm saying? The handshake, the dap up, and all that. All the races and the different ethnicities and stuff like that. So boom, look, check this out. Spiritual release system. Now, you got a spiritual context to this because in the 7th, 8th, and 9th dimension, we create the essence for something to be what it is in the first place. So once it starts to play out in your own awareness as your own specific way of doing it, or whatever the case may be, in your own form, your own body, that automatically becomes you taking the ability of what we all can do, and you're doing it in your own spot. By default, it become, or simultaneously, it becomes 4th, 5th, and 6th dimensional. You being in your first body, your mind, and that ability to expand and contract. So once you expand without contracting enough, then for the most part, you're adding a whole bunch of accumulations, and you're not going through a fall and winter or right down, or right down and back energy. You're doing too much left, right, and up, or expanding or emanating, and then for the most part you could get lost in all those lights. So this is what we call Lucifer, right? But you're lost in all of your internal lights. You only want to visualize what you created. You don't want to add, counterpartmentalize, add an idea that may not be yours because you know you got it from somewhere else, because other spirits doing the same thing, and we created an environment outside of us. And you're not trying to find no relatable and sync energy. You're trying to make things only relatable and sync to you, even if you have to force the external references or even mind states that doesn't match yours. Here's where you become lost in your own light, lost in your own goal. And then that's only could go so far because you could make your own world. Then once that had to deteriorate in the physical form you created, detach or whatever the case may be from that, spiritually, you're lost in your own space, your own world, and you can't survive there that long unless you're just going to go to non-existence. But for the most part, when we start to talk about spiritual release, when you're starting to accumulate too much or add on too much or create too much awareness without doing too much contraction, because one thing that you created awareness about, you like it better than the other, so you never want to contract in something else. You only want to contract in that. You leave other awarenesses out to defend themselves. So when it's time for other parts and experiences in your life and those attributes to be needed, you're going to lack awareness in that circumstance that get created. You're going to lack a know-how, and then there, for the most part, you're going to be lost into that only comfort zone, and you're going to hope that it's help you survive or weather the storm within it, whatever scenario that you lack comprehension in. And therefore, here's where you become a narc in your own ego, or a foolish person, a stubborn person, or a person who just don't know no better, and you probably need a straitjacket, however the case may be. So the mind is important when you're looking at it through all layers, because that's your first body. So now that we got that straight, right, you understand that there's a healthy form of contracting. Contracting can play out in the mental world. Contracting, right, going inside and separating from something, not just being inside of something you just created. Contracting play out in reverse, but in the same scenarios in essence in the 1, 2, and 3rd dimension. Contraction could be forms of separating from forms of people, places, and things, or scenarios, separating from certain thought forms and ideas before they condense and become feelings and emotions. Because you got thoughts, you got an idea, then that start to break down from a mountain and become gravel. So that'll be like the Katapi or whatever the case may be in my culture. But for the most part, like I said, one thought break down into many different angles of how to look at that. Then once that accumulate, that idea become thoughts, and all those thoughts do another remix version of that. So all those thoughts look like one again, but then it flip to the fall and winter side. So then it become feelings of one thing, an emotion. So you got ideas that become thoughts, then those thoughts condense and become feelings that condense and become an emotion. So you have spring, summer, or emanation or expansion, idea, and thoughts. And then you have condensing and things of that nature and being inside of it, feelings and emotions. So that's how it starts to play out. And you can look at that as the side of the masculine, internal and external, right? Fire and air, external expansion, left, right, left, up, and forward. And then you can look at down back as water and earth, down back and right, or connecting and condensing, or whatever the case may be. So you got water and earth, the bottom triangle, and then earth, the bottom triangle with the line in it, and then you got fire and air. You know what I'm saying? The emanation of that vision, idea, then the many different directions or many different shards of that light ray can go. The air, aka that would be the spring, well, not spring and summer, but for the most part, the triangle, fire, and then a triangle within it, air or whatever, to let you know it's the condensed version. So you got smuggling, condensed air from fire, then you got condensing, consoling mold from water flowing, aka earth. So that's how you just get that kind of aspect going on, or whatever the case may be. But it's really just representing a mechanism. It's representing a transition. Now, so you're supposed to emanate, condense, release, and that plays out as a replenish system. So even when you're doing it with your eating and things which we're getting ready to get into. So thoughts built to emotion, then emotion built to adrenaline to your organs. That is blood you just created, not the blood you already had being aroused. People with low blood count also lack energy and have fatigue. So that helps you understand that it's a synchronicity to these things, because you could get thoughts and get excited. This is how sometimes kids burn themselves out. If you get ready to take them to Disney World and they have all these thoughts, and sometimes the thoughts get the best of them. They don't even get to exercise all those thoughts because they wear themselves out at would they just exercise those thoughts on the small forms things. They probably only went on 4 rides and went to sleep. But in their mind, they were so excited. So those 4 rides burnt them out based upon having so much adrenaline, thinking that they was getting ready to ride 20 rides. Now they got to wait till they wake up the next day, or whatever the case may be. If parents get rich enough, you know what I'm saying, and buy one of them high-ass hotels at Disney World. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to sleep, you recharge. You recharge your you collect the thoughts and feelings that condense to become the blood that make your organ be a well-sufficient running machine again, so you don't wear yourself out and start to drift off and daydream before you go to sleep in the middle of your job because you ain't get enough rest. So that's what these things is connected. So it's not that you are arousing your blood that's already there. If that's the case, that's like thinking about thermodynamics, and energy can't be created nor destroyed. Then where is something depleting that, and how is we getting velocity, volume, and mass in different sizes if energy is not being implemented and created? Then no, how's, you know what I'm saying? That don't even make no sense. So for the most part, it ain't your blood you already got being aroused. It's your thoughts condensing. It's your idea condensing to be thoughts, condensing to become feelings and emotions, and that becomes blood, adrenaline. And you're creating more blood as an accumulation. So now it needs a release system. So all that energy, you have to release it in some type of way. So if you got a lot of thoughts that condense to become feelings and emotions, it don't matter if it's negative or positive. You're going to be motivated to go do it, whether it's robbing a bank or going to Planet Fitness to exercise, or however the case may be. But you're still experiencing the releasing system. So I'm trying to point y'all to how this makes sense without it being pseudo. And this is something that you're supposed to be paying attention to in many pockets of your life, so you could be a well-oiled running machine spiritually, mentally, and physically, with your space, spirit, individual soul, your time, your mind, and your matter, your body. What matters to you externally, what the body creates and stuff like that. What matters with the mind is things you're going to start to do with your actual matter, and what matters in reality to you and things of that nature. So thoughts built, so that help you understand how these things is linked. And for the most part, you could be in a situation where you did so many of these processes of lacking thought and just using your body for things that ain't really got nothing to do with a fruitful thought. Wear your body out, start to lack thought, start to get a bunch of illnesses and things of that nature. Now you got a low blood count, and a low blood count, you're going to see the results of you not being able to produce blood based upon you being fatigued, lack of energy, and stuff like that. And therefore, all your thoughts is going to be limited because you only could think about your health problems. You only could think about the pain, the cramp, and stuff like that. So you're not able to have your wildest thoughts. You can't enjoy even a vacation, or you can't enjoy something new or whatever because of what's on your mind. So all of that is linked. It's in synced. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to understand those things. So we're going to talk about the releasing system and how to go about it, and we're going to talk about it through the 3 layers first. We're going to talk about it spiritually. If there's a releasing system spiritually as a mechanism, there's a releasing system mentally, and y'all are lost in the physical one, which we're going to break down also, so you can actually see that to be true so you could get back in order, so it don't start to be like no matter what you do physically, something still appears not to be working. You have to have these things linked, right? See, this is where that synthetic, all these other pills and stuff like that is coming from, where you think your money and these things that money can buy is always going to be the solution or whatever, and you'll start to see things slow up. Or even when it comes into medical practices, one medication leading to you needing two, that leading to you needing three, and now your whole insurance from you being in the military or whatever the case may be is going towards bull crap, things for you to just feel okay throughout the day that doesn't necessarily attack the actual problem. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that it's important to realize. Going through this healthy system may not even lead you into physical representations that you have to experience once it's too late to realize that you need a healthy release system, but it's only going to play out from the flesh perspective. You're still going to have a lot of frustration on your mind. It don't even have to be physical illnesses and things of that nature. It's just predicated on the mind not being right. You could be in a position just like someone else, and you can have $1 million or just hit the lottery ticket, but your mind ain't right. So you ain't about to do nothing but crash out yourself and other individuals, where someone else who it could have been rightfully in the hands of could have used it for more productive manners and things of that nature, and helping out their lineage and their people, so people don't be complaining and people can have better practices when it comes to their spirituality and their health. But other than that, you see what I'm saying? If the mind ain't right, everything is going to be all over the place. But it starts with having a healthy release system. And it doesn't matter how good you're doing things or having your 1-2 together in a physical, if you're not releasing healthy and mentally or spiritually, which we're getting ready to get into, it doesn't matter how much you have accomplished in the physical world. You're still cloudy. Your judgment going to be cloudy. Your relationship's going to be cloudy, and things of that, and you not being able to go about these things in the right manner. And even if you want to have to use these things because Walt Disney taught us in certain areas, it could get us things that we won't. If you're a male or female relationship or whatever the case may be, you're going to start to see how even with these things, it still don't matter. You're not going to be able to experience a fruitful relationship, a fruitful connection, or a fruit, you know what I'm saying? It's almost going to build into be like miserable energy. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful. All these qualities is important, because you could just be carrying what we call baggage, and then your best relationship ain't got nothing to do with nothing else but trauma bonding. It ain't nothing to do with that. But if the trauma bonding, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that. But if the trauma bonding isn't predicated on each individual or multiple parties having shared experiences, but y'all have met each other based upon doing things that help y'all not be in that negative mental distress of the situation, then that's when trauma bonding become positive, because y'all adding those qualities to productive things. Let's say all y'all make music, all y'all be able to make better songs and stuff. But if you trauma bonding based on negative pretense, so you just need somebody with an ear that come from your background, so both of y'all get ready to crash each other out and find somebody to do the same thing to each other that y'all just experienced when y'all was elsewhere in some way, shape, or form. So y'all don't got no talent. And we're using an example. Let's say music. Y'all ain't get ready to be in no studio. Y'all get ready to be somewhere else trauma bonded. And when y'all get bored with that trauma bonding energy gonna go towards each other, so y'all could go around other individuals and do the same thing y'all just did with each other with somebody else. Talk about each other. You know what I'm saying? So when you was with that person talking about the other people, now you get ready to go around somebody else and talk about that person. And then you're going to be on that whole little train of path to the point you get like 90 years old and realize your family, your kids, if you have any, and your friends don't give a beep about you. Wipe your own ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody like that. Nobody want to be in that situation. Nobody want to be. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to be in that situation. So you got to learn how to healthily release, which we're getting ready to get into. So for the most part, let's start with spiritually, right? Then we're gonna get into mentally. Then we're gonna get into physically. So when it comes into spirit, and then we're gonna get into external representations on really the objective of how to get out of it, and things that you do anyway that you already know what you're doing. You just don't notice from the full capacity to start with it. Be like, I know how. One of the main reasons we feel insecure or manifest uncompromising situations to be in, right, is when we don't know how. So when we don't know how and we gotta ask, or we in that situation of feeling naked, not having that cloth of knowing how, it makes us feel vulnerable and stuff. And this is where a lot of our problems come from. Now in the mental world, sometimes you just need a mentality for a way of feeling. That way of feeling that you might be scattered in, that's negative, came from a thought you was unsure of, but you may have expressed it and it accumulated as the feeling, and those experiences that came from it kept you in that negative memory and experiences, even if you're not experiencing it physically at the moment. Those memories is too negative, or however the case. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you're just not releasing. But get into the spiritually, let's get into it. Spiritually, right? Being in a space and create a spaceship, that's just a thought form, where you can just expand on what you're imagining instead of just pondering on what have already been expanded on as an experience, especially if it's predicated on a negative pretense, like I just talked about. See what I'm saying? That lets you know spiritually you're not releasing. If you're in a situation where you're just pondering, now ain't nothing wrong with pondering, but that's where pondering come from, right? You being involved in a lot of situations and you not being able to think freely about other things to add on to something that you want to ponder about that has something to go in your fruitful direction. If you're going in something in a negative direction, then you're just going to be pondering, but guess what don't come from that? Productivity. And it's going to be the other word, procrastination, when it starts to play out through your actions and whatever you're doing with your adrenaline and how people see you. So these is mind things that the spirit create, but spiritually you have to be in a certain space to know how to create that essence before we even talk about once you're in the mind and how to counterpartmentalize these things so you're not carrying too much baggage before it starts to express itself as body language and you start to materialize and manifest situations in your life that basically a replica of that. So when you start to think about spiritually, right, it's just being in that space and create a thought where you can just expand on. So that'd be like, ooh, I got this idea. How this work? Other than, ooh, man, I got this idea that I'm still thinking about based off negative stuff or whatever the case may be. So it don't always have to be negative. You could be in something that's old and outdated and it's no longer in your current life, but it was something that was good. Or it could have been a person that was alive or whatever the case may be. A lot of times being in that energy too long, you're not letting go, so you're not able to move on. So there could be things dealing with that 10 seconds, that hour, that day, that you spend hella time in that old excitement, that old memory that felt good, that you ain't transmuted into no productive energy or whatever like that. I mean, if we even to make an example of music, you couldn't even make that past person a song. You couldn't make that past circumstance a song or whatever. It's just going to be that memory you go in to waste time every day or whatever the case may be. Boom, you're still on the negative side of energy from a spiritual perspective and not releasing. And when you don't release, right, you're not doing that replenish energy or depletion energy, replenish, depletion, replenish. And you try to hold on to something that's already toxic, something that's already old or whatever. So even if it's a positive thought, it still become toxic once it play out in your physical life. And the toxicity will play out as you procrastinating, you being uncreative, you know what I'm saying, you being lost in your mind or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you not being about nothing or whatever. The only thing you about is what you doing. And those are things that people don't know about because you're just going into old worlds that don't manifest in the physical world anymore, aka memories. I'm gonna say, yeah, I used to be this, I used to be that, and stuff like that. A lot of y'all be around these family, friend, associates, and coworkers right now and stuff like that, where it seems like they tell you the same story 10 or 20 times. In their mind, they just told it the first time again. You know what I'm saying? In your mind, you heard it over and over again, and that mean they ain't doing nothing new or whatever the case. And yet, they probably feel so bad about their current situation. The best times of their life is based off it being a memory. It's the only thing they can jump back into. Yet they can't give that old city or household life for it to manifest into the current. So for the most part, that'd be a person that losing creativity, losing drive, losing motivation, right? So eventually they ain't about nothing. So the only thing they're gonna be about, even if y'all having conversation, is gonna be about that. So it ain't about nothing in reality, but it's going to be about something maybe that they did in the past or whatever. A memory currently. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times y'all might think these people retarded or whatever the case may be. And that might be a case of retardation or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, it's just if you're spiritually wise enough, you have to put them back on track. Whatever track that they was on to have those memories, they have lost it due to the fact of whatever detriment, trial, or tribulation they have went through based upon the outcomes of that. And those are things that they're running from talking about. You know what I'm saying? They just want to talk about the inches before it came up to that. You know what I'm saying? The football lead up to it. The plays that led up to it and stuff like that. That was the good times and stuff. But for the most part, they never got themselves back into a position to be able to get it again. So for the most part, they're coming from that perspective. And you can either just get tired and get your eardrum sweating out from hearing it, or you can actually, you know what I'm saying, present that in that way so you don't sound like you're coming across hurting their feelings or you don't want to hear what they're saying. Like the obvious, they said it thousands of times, and you can actually be the spiritual adult to put them in a better light so they'll be able to think about themselves in a way that you ain't give them that thing that they should already know to put them in resistant mode, you already know, and they already know you're tired of them hearing that over and over again. And then they automatically get put in a different perspective where they have no choice but to start thinking differently about what they already currently was talking about, or just talk about something in general, how you came at them. So, you know, you're flying for yourself and others, just like you're on the road driving for yourself and others. And these are things we have to do. So that's spiritually when it comes to releasing. Being in a space to create that little spaceship, that mind state in that space, where you could just expand on what you're imagining instead of just pondering on what you have already expanded on as an experience, especially if it's predicated on a negative pretense. Because that's just pondering, getting lost in your imagination about wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda. None of that is going to lead into the next hit record, or none of that is going to lead into the next you stack the best brick or the layer of you and your little corporation of the construction workers or whatever the case may be. None of that is going to lead into that. You know what I'm saying? Or you getting the nails put on right without a centimeter off, and homegirl got to come back and be like, yo, this nail broke easy or whatever the case may be. You should give me a discount next time and stuff. And you know, you don't want to hear none of that and stuff. You don't care how long you knew homegirl. You don't hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? You got 5, 6 other people that already did that you let do that. You like, it's other reasons why you can't let her. It ain't got nothing to do with her punk ass feelings. You know what I'm saying? So I know how y'all be in those energies. If you're on the female side of things, you know what I'm saying? You getting your 1-2 together, and somebody stepping on your toes when it comes to you and your creativity, and you making money. You know what I'm saying? But mentally, now when it gets into the mental world, right? Now for the most part, you know what I'm saying, let's check this out. Mentally, this is what you need to think about. You know what I'm saying? Coming on a store near you real soon. You know what I'm saying? The jackets, the shirts, the hats, everything. You know what I'm saying? Everything. Peep game, yo, mentally, how to release. Or what does it mean to be in this position so you can know it's time to release once we get into describing it. But mentally, knowing what collection of thoughts and ideas to let go before it condensed to become feelings and emotions. Remember how I broke it down? You have an idea, boom, that's fire. Then it got many thoughts, boom, then that's a collection. Then it condensed and becomes smoggy, cloud. Now you got this feelings that you're seeing all these things that's becoming heavier and heavier. Then that's like one thing in general. It becomes and the emotion, the character itself, the characteristic, the persona that you may be in. So for the most part, knowing what collection of thoughts and ideas to let go before it condensed and become a feeling, an emotion that may be toxic before it becomes a degenerate expression, emotional problem, or action, aka the flushing out system of what's no longer useful or good as an esoteric fruit to eat, aka convincing yourself not to think certain ways once you go down a line of reasoning and a train of thought that can take you too far down that path or esoteric road. So it's time to make an esoteric exit from that spaceship train station. This means you were eating too much as a spirit, and your solo spirit, which is a soul, became heavy and tired. Spirits eat minds. Remember, minds is a collection of thoughts that become feelings, awarenesses of things. And you could eat so much and wear yourself out from all those thoughts or whatever. Now you can't do nothing. You're froze or whatever. So you got to be careful not to do too much, do too less, all the way to the condensity of even when it comes to like mucus. Can't have too much, can't have too less. Not eradicated or whatever the case may be. You're going to develop illnesses where your internal is lacking things to be able to sufficiently fight the external things or whatever the case may be. Now your immune system is weak and don't have a well-oiled deficient system. When you're developing mucus, that means you're fighting and it's developing just enough mucus, and those are just parasites that you create to fight off things and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? This is how we create things like lice or whatever the case. These are internal things that we create. All the way to mosquitoes. This is things evolved to become external things on their own. But we create everything from the inside out. And anything that's a lesser creature or has less awareness, aka tension span, develops as organ stimuli. So that tension span develop as lifespan. So anything that has a lesser tension span has a lesser lifespan, right? And then for the most part, these are things, the thing that came before it created that in various ways. So that's why it'll eat you. It needs some form of you or whatever the case may be. And everything be on its own cycle like that. So you have to keep game when it comes to parasites and bacteria before they become animals. You know, I mean bugs and then animals. So, you know, bugs is just many animals. And parasites and bacteria is just mini bugs. So everybody is on this evolution concept. So the things that been here start to create other things also, and that becomes parasites, then bacteria, then bugs, then animals, and then humans, and then, you know what I'm saying, then at most the apes. And then we in this cycle, us creating this world together. All right, so now, so let me not lose this. So mentally, knowing what collection of thoughts and ideas to let go before it condense and become feelings and emotions that may be toxic before it become a degenerate expression, right? Emotional problem or action, aka the flushing out system, or was no longer useful or good as an esoteric fruit to eat, aka convincing yourself not to think. Once you ate something and know that's the wrong feeling, when you convince yourself not to think that, not to feel that, that's spiritually you saying, don't eat this fruit. Don't eat that fruit. It ain't good no more. Or whatever the case may be. Because you will eat it, it'll please your emotion, then that bends in and that's connected to your flesh. That pleases the flesh if you get up and do it. And then a lot of times these be degenerate stuff when it comes to 97% of Americanized brains. Right? So you be trying not to think certain ways to go down trains of thoughts and line of reasonings, right? That could take you too far down wrong paths and esoteric roads. So it's time to take that spiritual exit from that spaceship train station. This means you was eating too much as a spirit, your solos, which is your solo spirit, is your soul, right? That became heavy and tired. Spirits eat minds, and minds are bodies, right? Individual spirits, which our souls create. We create that fruit, we create that body, we create that spaceship. And you might create a good idea that another spirit eat, get all hyped to do, and do it in the wrong way, or whatever the case may be, or do it the right way. Do it better than you probably could have did it if you was lazy on it. Then God took it away from you, and that light that was in you, that another person was able to see, that you was taking advantage of because you couldn't see it in that way. God took it away from you, gave it to that individual, and that individual showed you how it worked in the physical world, where you could have had it, but you didn't because you ain't acting on your idea. And a lot of y'all Pisces need to understand now. Happy flight day to all you Pisces. A lot of times when the Pisces don't have a family member, friend, or associate that get them motivated to compete or express themselves, a lot of their creative gold go down the drain without them ever knowing it was creativity and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And they become salty with them to themselves when they reach that age to pay attention to them things. But now they're at the age where they can't actually indulge in it the way they wish it shoulda, coulda, woulda, and God had it there for you, and you couldn't see it. You know what I'm saying? And it's important for Pisces to get away from negative family members, friends, and associates, because they can only lead you to use your creativity to not be creative no more, just to be a lost hippie or something like that. Even if you ain't taking drugs and stuff, all your creativity is going to non-creative things. So you know how to creatively even be at the bar every day and stuff like that. You know how to creatively, you know what I'm saying? You know how to creatively be there more than everybody in your family, friends, associates, and you get ready to motivate others to be there. Now, for the most part, but like I said, right? Now, spirits eat minds, and minds are bodies, individual spirits, which our souls create. And you can feed off your own creation, and via through validation or mimicking, you can eat of others, feed off others. Mimicking is feeding off others, and validation is feeding off your own. So when you got a thought and it bends in and become a feeling and emotion, you like, oh, I like this one. Right? Now, if it's a positive one because it's bending in and it's getting ready to become creativity and stuff like that, that's good fruit, right? You know how to build yourself up. When you don't know how to build yourself up, you need external validation. You need external motivation from other individuals who know how to boost themselves up, so they got enough to give because they got it to themselves. But if you need them too much for you to just do what you do, for it to transmute physically, you need them as an assistance for your own mechanism to build adrenaline and blood. And eventually, they're not going to give you assistance how they build blood. They're going to start lacking their own care. And eventually, spiritually, you're draining them from their mechanism to condense to be blood, to be motivated to do what they do. And eventually, you're going to start to experience that separation or that ghosting from people that you're close to if you lack the ability to build yourself up. So it's important to understand that. What does that mean? Not just predicated on things where you start to lose it as far as material and stuff like that, and someone say cheer up, or you're not not pleasing, because y'all develop as people pleasers, but it comes from the trying to impress. So a lot of times you have a large percentage scale trying to impress in other pockets that play out in your life that you may not see it as trying to impress, that still play out as detriment. For an example, you may have did things that ain't nothing wrong with, but it come from these type of things. Like you may have played sports in school, or you may was a popular person, or your family probably was known, so that played out as you getting attention or whatever the case may be, right? You end up playing out in certain areas where you're kind of, it's going to play out later on in life as you being a people pleaser in areas you don't think you are. You just think it's a familiar thing to jump into to get your validations or whatever. And anytime you don't get it, you think it's something wrong with the external people that's involved more than the actual scenario, right? And these may not even, and you might be in a situation where it ain't people who know you, who know that type of mind game to give that to you or play that with you or whatever the case may be. And then you really think it's other people hating on you, and you may not just be that good. And here you go over exaggerating and causing more problems, and because people ain't, praising you like your mama praises you when you got off of football practice or something. You know what I'm saying? Where she probably wasn't doing that for other purposes. Just make sure your monkey ass get good grades or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mama was doing it for other reasons. She wasn't doing it for you and you taking it and trying to get it amongst your peers in your age group. They get ready to go upside your head with one of them goddamn school lockers when y'all go goddamn after practice and stuff like that. So you gotta chill out. You gotta chill out a little bit. Everybody don't see you like you just got hyped off that validation of everybody who know you in your life. Everybody gonna see you that way, and everybody gonna react that way. So you got to know that first before you go out in the world, get hit upside your head a couple of times. And God had to show you that. God had to play out through somebody else's hand. You know what I'm saying? Like what Mano say, God's hand, like God had to play out through somebody's hand for you to realize, oh, don't do that no more. This the right route. You know what I'm saying? It's the right way to go. Not that way. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. That way. What Quavo said. Yeah, that way. Yeah. That way. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Real stuff. Move around. Do something for God next time. Don't do something. Play with something safe. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. What King said or whatever. Shout out to 50. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to 50 and T.I. Now, for the most part, like I said, right? So spirits eat minds, and minds are bodies, individual spirits, which our souls create. And you can feed off your own creation, which is through validation, or mimicking, which is eating off others' thought forms and stuff like that. And a lot of times the spirit try to turn into a magician and create something that they think another spirit inside of their first body, mind, and physical body like. And then for the most part, they get the attention in that way. And if they can't hold that energy up because it ain't truly them, that white and black magic truly a fade after a while, where they start to see the black magic. Internal emotions ain't even what they're externally caring about. They created an emotion and played out some external thing that represented that mimics something I like for them to get something else based off another feeling and an idea that I ain't even know that they trying to get from me. That goddamn my pocket, my wallet, my pocketbook, my purse. So goddamn, they got me broke. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case may be. So you know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta, whatever the case may be. So y'all got to peep game. And a lot of times it gets real tricky how spirits try to do that. And you might try to do that or whatever. So I'm just helping people understand that spectrum. But for the most part, when you give attention, wherever you give attention, your energy flow, right? You give your creation fruit to. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, aka your esoteric body, which is our first body. That's how we can even be born through people and give life. That one can ship through, and we can share our space closer to each other, other than the layers that we condense each other in. Once that get added on to thoughts, feelings, more, and then turn to more fleshly fluids, the more separation, the external world, atmosphere, environment. You know what I'm saying? But wherever you give your attention, wherever your attention go, your energy flows, aka your esoteric body, which is your mind, or your esoteric goes, which is why you only supposed to invest large percentage scales of your time, your mind, and your energy, your matter, your body, aka your mind gold, to people, places, and things that represent your spiritual space and how you think. So any clash is people you willing to be frustrated with, because y'all know y'all going in the same direction anyway, other than being frustrated with individuals that ain't lead nowhere anyway. So that's how y'all even supposed to choose y'all relationships. It ain't about, I need to pick a relationship that I ain't gonna never go through a problem. You dealing with a whole nother individual that you're trying to share space with. There's always going to be a problem. You just need to know, pick and choose who you rather be frustrated with. I guarantee that relationship be a lot better. And just by starting something, spirits always play out a resistant energy when it start of knowing something. So even when you remind the spirit something that it already knows, but it was hiding, and even if it didn't know it was hiding it, and then you show it something that's common sense that it was like it's supposed to, sometimes it'll still act out in that energy because it's something that it didn't know it was supposed to take its own responsibility to know. So when you start a relationship and y'all both starting it as a spiritual ship, and y'all know that tit for tat energy come from when y'all both need spiritual space, is already awareness, aka honey substance in that spiritual pocket that y'all fulfilled. When something is already there to be aware of, by default, y'all gonna start playing out that deep down spiritual resistant energy. Y'all gonna start doing that for God. Resist negative scenarios. Those times as tit for tat and need space, y'all might already know that, and even play out smaller scenarios where it actually play out. And come up with better solutions of how to take care of it, where it don't even be problems like other people's problems, because the spirit is playing out resistant energy. Y'all just transmuted it in a better direction, in a healthier area. So now y'all are resisting things that lead into negativity and stuff. Y'all already know, jumping into it as a spiritual ship and being aware of these is the reasons why people who are unaware of these things start to go through problems in their relationships, start to go through problems in their family, or whatever the case may be. So therefore, you already, just like, let's say if y'all had a lot, let's say if y'all got a lot of those drunkies or crackheads in y'all family, or whatever the case may be, and they bum money a lot or whatever. You can see how one family member was reckless with the relationship, but yet that's a person y'all care about, right? So for the most part, you can see how this family member created a bridge burner scenario with them, and you can see how it started and how it lead, how they started something they couldn't finish. So once they wanted to finish it, it had to be an explosive situation. You know how it's still going to be some frustration by saying no, but you know saying no early leads to later situations of you not having to say no, and it become a bridge burner scenario. It'd be y'all still being cool and them knowing not to even come to you anyway, so y'all still able to have that relationship there. So you're flying for yourself and others, like you on the road driving for yourself and others. You care more about the relationship than them, so you know where it goes, where the other family member couldn't know where it goes, where y'all all be having conversations. So you didn't even want to go and have that kind of relationship with them, so even that minor frustration didn't have to become bigger. And that's when that family member will respect it more also, because all spirits know, or whatever the case may be. So they might get minorly mad, but that frustration always makes sense for the long haul, because it's never going to be a bridge burner scenario to even never get there, or whatever the case may be. So the relationship always in a balance based upon you being a spiritual adult, even if your crackheaded ass uncle, father, mother, or whatever like that is older than you. See what I'm saying? So always be in those energies where you flying for yourself and others. You already know that they ain't gonna pay you back. So why start it? So it has to be a weird situation. So anytime that they first of all, they're gonna put you as their last resort. Then anytime you say no, that's the only thing they can be mad at. Can't be no extreme mad at, or you having to be mad at them. So once they get over it or get it from elsewhere, y'all relationship back the same anyway. And boom, because you knew better. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you're supposed to keep it. And that saves a lot of problems. Y'all supposed to do that with y'all friends, or whatever the case may be. This the homie for this. This the homegirl for that. Not blurring the lines and things of that nature. Now you get all confused, and then when it's time for you to take care and get unconfused, the things you have to do to get unconfused is what create those bridge burner scenarios and stuff. Because you was dealing with someone who didn't know how to go down a train of thought and line of reasoning, or where the outcome could be. And then you're supposed to be reading these situations to be like, look, the way this person acting amongst this other person we know, I can see that they're not even paying attention how far they're going to go, and just get ready to be that. So this person dumb anyway. Let me think for them sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you're supposed to only invest a large percentage scale of your time and energy, aka your mind goal, to people, places, and things that represent your spiritual space and how you think and what you like to do. If it's in sync and high relatability. If things you do is only you trying to make in sync and relatable to you, you're going to become destructive than anything outside of you, even the people. And force it to be like you, other than finding somehow you can bring something to the table or whatever. And even when you got more to the table, how to construct it in a way where you're not getting taken advantage of, and only bringing people to the table that even if they don't have as much, the effort, the work ethic can fulfill what they lack, or whatever the case may be. Or you don't got that, well, you could do this. And if this person is in that, whatever, that's more of a team member that you need, right? So then when we get into physically, any form of release creates forms of relief. Forms of exercising toxins out your body, and doing the replenish cycle with your body, so it don't matter what you eat. Because a lot of times y'all be like, I gotta watch, man, pretty much 90% of what y'all eating right now is synthetic, GMO, crafted in a machine, hardware store. You know what I'm saying? Today you be broadcasting, auditioning for these things a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, everything on your plate that you probably praising didn't grow on no tree, or whatever the case may be. Eating all the Muslim bean pies and stuff like that. you telling people to eat right or whatever. No, don't get in no health diet or whatever. You ain't Dr. Sebi. You know what I'm saying? He probably ain't know everything. Y'all just be careful. Be careful. Rest in peace up. You know what I'm saying? But look, like I said, like yeah, rest in peace. What I'm talking about. But like I said, physically, any form of release creates forms of relief. You know what I'm saying? So you already know that from a physical perspective, right? So that replenish cycle with your body, you have to do that. So it don't matter what you eat or how you eat, it keeps your body in some routine to be able to work sufficiently like a well-oiled running machine. Remind you, it ain't what you eat, it's how you eat. So if you're eating but you're not doing things to keep your body like a well-oiled running machine, you're not breaking down what you're eating. You know what I'm saying? And your fluids is not running through your veins and flushing out properly. So they're staying stagnated in certain areas and stuff. So you start to feel achings and pains and cramps and stuff. These are issues of you not having a healthy replenish system, right? So you're doing more of one thing than the other. You're doing more replenishing than depletion. That's like more of your pleasures and stuff like that, other than having matching the same time the percentage scale and energy of depleting. Then a lot of y'all is in the other energy, more depletion than replenishing. So a lot of times by default, you could be thinking you're doing the right thing and causing other problems, even if you feel good without health problems. For an example, let's say you in sports and you take hormones or you do a lot of exercising, but they teach you that, like, because water is a form of when you're in depletion, exercising and releasing. Other things has to be for replenishing, not water, unless you're eating and drinking water. If you're just drinking water, you're doing too much deplenishing. So let's say you're into sports or whatever the case may be. You're doing more than the other way. So yeah, you're exercising, feeling good, but there's not enough replenishing energy. So all that depletion is burning out things. So other things get sacrificed that you're unaware of that don't play out as pain. So that's why a lot of y'all lose your hairline or go bald or have other problems and things of that nature that doesn't probably necessarily deal with health. But let's say at times you did all that exercising or all that practicing, and then you feel prepared, and then you bust your ACL or whatever, or sprain something in the worst way or whatever the case may be, because it was extra tense, it was extra tight, it didn't have no relaxation foundation. So that muscle was all like a brick hitting a brick of whatever that you did or whatever, which caused an extra illness or whatever when you felt good the whole way leading up to it. So a lot of times you on one side or the other that I just broke down, and that side you're on, especially if you're into sports, you're on more of the depletion side than the replenish side. And if you're a person that's just lost in your pleasures and stuff, and this is how you become extremely fat too, you're more on the replenish side other than the depletion side. So you have to balance these things out. And if you don't, you're not a well-oiled running machine. So even if you feel good and you're on the exercise or sports side, you're still doing too much deplenishing. You're not going to know where it counts until you lose your hairline. And if you're a female, go through early menopause and you ain't even on your period or nothing like that, or had no kid. You just, goddamn it, just losing all your edges on vacations in the Bahamas somewhere. You still got to go to your practice or go to your job in the morning and stuff like that. This is the way it is. Like the way it is. You got to play the depletion, replenish energy. And then if you're on the more replenish side than depletion, right? Because the sports people and people will act a lot more active, but you ain't got that replenishing energy, and then you start to look at food to scarcity. Sometimes you need those foods you was growing up with or feeding when you was inside of your mother, and you detach too much of that. That's too much depletion. So yeah, you feel good and stuff like that, but it's other areas that ain't getting replenished and being able to rebuild itself. And then you so tight, if you do get into something, that relaxation energy that ain't there ain't gonna be able to be a puncture. So it's like driving too fast over a bump with your tire and pop the tire instead of your tire going over it slow or whatever the case may be, so it's able to have that air puncture or whatever, so your tire don't pop. You see what I'm saying? Off impact. So you got to look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to your health and your body and being uptight and being exercised up, and just because you don't feel no pain, you think your body ain't deteriorating somewhere real fast and things of that nature. You could build up your muscle real quick, get old and start looking like Tails from the Crypt with all that muscle just turning into things that look like it's just hanging on you and stuff, and all your tattoos start looking like graffiti somewhere or something like that. It looked nice about 30, 40 years ago and stuff like that. Nice little cursive and stuff like that. Now it just look like some of the little kids smeared color and, you know what I'm saying, in elementary. You know what I'm saying? So y'all got to be careful and stuff. So you start doing this and stuff like that, and people think you just went paintball fighting and stuff like that. You just went paintball fighting. No, this was a tattoo I had and stuff like. You gotta show somebody your early high school pictures, how neat the type tattoo was back in those days. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. Don't get wiggly jiggly at the age of 96 and you know what I'm saying? But like I said, right, so you want to make sure you're a well-oiled running machine, and it's highly predicated on the replenish system, right? So whether you're more on a percentage scale of replenishing than depletion, start to even the odds, start to get into depletion, sacrificing, separation, angel energy. If you're more on a replenish energy than if you're more on a depletion energy than a replenish energy, start to get more on a demonic energy or attaching to things of that nature, or get other things to add on to things, so you're just not all dried out and spiritually Tales from the Crypt before it manifests physically, or whatever the case may be. Then it look like you done went through goddamn leukemia, lupus, with cancer all at the same time, with diabetes lingering around and stuff like that. You like, oh nah, I'm just a vegan and I exercise every day. Oh nah, God ain't say separate from something that you ain't paying attention to in your life. It's something else you need to get back to. Or, you know what I'm saying? Real stuff. Those just separate and disappear in thin air. Oh, learn that. Oh, learn that. You know what I'm saying? Now, physically, now, you can practice these things, but like I said, if you ain't got it in order, it don't matter what you do physically. Your mind ain't right, your spirit is out of order, out of the spiritual pocket to be in the right position to do things in order, then you ain't going to make the wrong awareness. It's your first body. That means your mind ain't right. So whatever you physically going to be doing, and then the external practices what we getting ready to get into, ain't going to mean anything. You're going to have $1 million, and it ain't going to go to you going to Planet Fitness every day. It's going to go straight to some Ozempic. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you have to chill out. Y'all have to chill out, for real. Because you making your body harder to do it. So when you want to start doing it naturally, it ain't going to do it or whatever the case. It's got all these illnesses. Your blood cells going to be like, wait a minute, we've been eating on something, GMO food, and we've been at the carnival. We got to work now? What is that or whatever? Now your body don't want to work. All your blood cells as a nation of people and countries and continents don't want to come together and work. Now they all fighting, eating each other, cannibals again. It's like all kind of stuff. Now you got to go to the doctor, and the doctor got to tell you your body eating itself from the inside out. Now you got gangrene, aka you got tissue death and stuff like that. You got whole pockets in the gut, all kind of failures. Kidney failure, you know what I'm saying? Your heart can't breathe, pump blood. You know what I'm saying? Your brain, lungs ain't got no oxygen. So y'all got to tell you, you're going to be living on the goddamn air pump. You're going to be living on that. Peak gang. So like I said, now physically, the objective is to have a hobby or creativity that can filter through as the last portion or practice of releasing. Because I'm saying, that's why I broke that down. You have to be in order. This is actually the last practice. When you live out of order, the fleshly fluid and the external representations be your first practice. You be living in reaction, having to act off what you're already reacting to. You know what I'm saying? So you don't even be knowing how you created the situation, and it ain't always what you did is what you allowed to be done. You get the same energy of you being able to sit from a distance and see people do negative to others and get that back. And then something happened to you, be like, I don't deserve this. Yes, you do. You allow something to happen to you. That's in the same space. In the spiritual world, you could just be in the same city and state of being. So your being, spirit, be in different states of awarenesses that we condense as, gas, liquid, solids and stuff like that play out as our physical matters and situations. Gas, liquid, solid, didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? And you could be aware of that, be in different space. But like I said, the objective is to have a hobby or have something physically, because when you don't do that mentally or whatever the case may be, y'all already be in a physical, and then it just play out like the wrong type of alcoholic. And the emotions that you're in is going to entice that. You're trying to drink to get out of emotion instead of drink because you're already out of something and you want to enjoy yourself. So that get enticed. You want to drink because you're going through something, that get enticed. That entice you to actually do something. So it's like that kind of energy. when you're thinking about it, physically, the last portion of it. That's already spiritually be in your mind, and you have to already be in that energy. Now, when it bends in physically, right, you already see it physically as, even when you're using a bathroom or taking a bath, that's a form of releasing. That builds in as relief or whatever for the anatomy, or physically doing something to release the mental stress or physical strain that can cause that it causes eventually. And those are usually your gifts, talents, or hobbies. And try to make your gifts, talents, or hobbies part of the things that make the world go around, like clothes, food, you know what I'm saying? Clothes, food, music, dance, entertainment, construction, or health-related things. Those are also the only things that people pay for. Anything else is a scam related or corporate capitalizing and colonizing something we're already doing out of that list. You know what I'm saying? Anything else. But you need to know what makes the world go around is food, clothing, music, dance, entertainment, construction, and health-related things. Anything else, and I mean anything else, is only could be scam related or corporate capitalizing and colonizing something we're already doing out of that list, or them presenting something that they're doing out of that list. So the farming go to McDonald's, or the health related practices get turned into the crack pills. You know what I'm saying? Or the clothing get turned into a tuxedo, and you're not presenting something that can be sold or something that can represent your culture, and you ain't got to be out here not being non-representative like ICE and a mask or whatever the case may be, and with no badge. Or, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Entertainment. We all like to be entertained. That's why we have like the real concert, like within the Navajo language, concert represent ceremony, and singer represent medicine men and medicine women, presenting songs that represent the seasonal transition and what we're going through and experiences, and pretty much what I'm doing right now and putting it in a musical form and things of that nature, right? And then entertainment and music. I mean, a movie don't even sound right without the music sequence in the background. So what we talking about? You know what I'm saying? These are the things that make the world go around, or without these things, there's going to be a sense of something being absent, a sense of something not there, something not being right. And we already know what to point to, so why not make these efforts better and not play stupid, or whatever the case may be. So put your piece to the puzzle. God allow all of us to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, then we are in. So for the most part, when it comes to spiritually releasing, right, you have a spiritual representation of it, right, where you're understanding, you expand and you contract, and not to hold on to too much what you get ready to create. The mental representation of it, all these many thoughts that condense and become feelings and emotions, so you can know which one is getting ready to become toxic and which one leads into expansion, into creativity when we get on those trains of thoughts and line of reasoning, and what builds in and become our adrenaline and our anatomy, and that we express with our organs and what suits us, and as we doing something relatable or in sync. And then once we start to express that, we know we need healthy release systems and things of that nature, so we're not representing a person that's holding on to things or carrying around trauma per se. And anytime that we are, it's important to have a creative attribute to release these things in, so it also could put us in a better representation, or have something that goes in our favor because it's a talent, and all that energy doesn't seem like it's just something that we're lost in, that just play out through the seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years of us just looking like we're the representation of what it looks like to procrastinate, or it looks like the bullshit, or it look like to not be about nothing, or however the case may be, or a person lost in thought. So have a healthy release system, and that's what we talk about it spiritually. And I love all y'all from the bottom of my heart. Flight boss, beep, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and responsibilities. Raktaswa, HAЄL'HO, YAHLAHUÈ, Massasoit, Mama Natoy, woo, Masasaki. It's the Maketewah Scholarship.